Two people walk into the same gym, same body weight, same workout, same intensity, same duration down to the minute. One of them trains at 6 in the morning, the other at 6 in the evening. And when you measure what their cells actually do during that identical session, the results are different. Not slightly different, measurably, biochemically different. One body is pulling fat out of storage and burning it for fuel. The other is building muscle tissue that will quietly burn calories for the next 24 hours while its owner sits on a couch. Same exercise, different biological outcome. The only variable is the clock on the wall. Most people treat workout timing like a scheduling preference. Morning person or night owl, whatever fits your calendar. But your body is not running the same program at 6 a.m. that it runs at 6 p.m. Your hormones are different, your fuel tanks are different, your muscles perform differently. And those differences change whether you burn fat or sugar, whether you build muscle or just maintain it, and what happens inside your body for hours after you stop moving. This is not fitness opinion. This is exercise physiology. We are going to run a head-to-head comparison across 4 biological rounds. Round 1, fuel source, what your body actually grabs for energy at each hour. Round 2, hormonal environment, the chemical landscape that determines where fat goes. Round 3, performance output and what it means for your metabolism long term. Round 4, the afterburn, what happens while you sleep. Each round has a clear winner, and at the end, you will get a definitive verdict, including the optimal protocol if you can train twice a day. Let's start with round 1. Round 1, fuel source. When you wake up at 6 a.m., you have not eaten in 8 to 12 hours. Your liver stores sugar in a form called glycogen, and it holds about 100 grams of it when full. By morning, that tank has dropped to roughly 20 grams. Your liver burned through 80% of its quick fuel, just keeping your brain alive while you slept. So when you lace up your shoes and start moving, your body has a problem. It needs energy. But the easy sugar is mostly gone, so it reaches for the backup supply, fat. Your cells start pulling fatty acids out of storage and burning them directly. This is fat oxidation, and in the fasted morning state, it runs 20 to 30% higher than it does when you exercise after eating. That is a real, measurable difference. A study in the British Journal of Nutrition put 2 groups of people on the same walk at the same pace. The only difference was that one group ate breakfast first. The fasted group burned 20% more fat from the exact same exercise. But here is the catch. This advantage only holds at low to moderate intensity. A brisk walk, a light jog, and easy bike ride. The moment you push into high intensity, your body demands glycogen no matter what. Fat simply cannot be broken down fast enough to fuel a sprint or a heavy set of squats. And the biggest surprise of round 1 is this: the fat burning edge is not actually about the morning. It is about the fasted state. If you eat breakfast and then work out at 7 a.m., that advantage vanishes. It is the empty fuel tank doing the work, not the sunrise. Round 1 goes to the morning, but only if you train before you eat, and only if you keep the intensity moderate. Now here is where things get more interesting. Because while your morning body is better at burning fat during the workout, your evening body is running a completely different chemical program. Round 2, hormonal environment. Between 6 and 8 a.m., your cortisol levels surge. This is called the cortisol awakening response, and it is not the stress cortisol you have heard about. This is a mobilization signal. Cortisol at dawn activates an enzyme called hormone-sensitive lipase, which acts like a key that unlocks your fat cells. It breaks stored fat into free fatty acids and dumps them into your bloodstream, making them available as fuel. At the same time, norepinephrine, a close cousin of adrenaline, is also elevated in the morning. It binds to receptors on the surface of your fat cells and accelerates the release even further. So the morning gives you a double signal. Two hormones both telling your fat cells to open up and let go of their contents. Morning cortisol is 50 to 100% higher than evening cortisol. That is not a subtle difference, but the evening body has its own advantages, and they play a completely different game. By late afternoon, your core body temperature has risen by 1 to 2 degrees. That might sound tiny, but warmer muscles contract faster. Enzymatic reactions speed up. Your joints are better lubricated. Nerve signals travel quicker. The result is that your reaction time is 5 to 10% faster in the evening, and your raw muscle strength is about 5% higher. Testosterone, which peaked around 8 to 10 a.m., is still meaningfully elevated into the early evening, supporting muscle protein synthesis. So here is the full picture. Morning hormones are better at releasing fat from storage. Evening physiology is better at building the muscle that burns fat around the clock. They are optimizing for different time scales. Morning wins the battle, evening wins the war. Round 2 is a split decision. And that split is exactly what makes the next 2 rounds matter so much. Because now the question shifts. It is no longer just about what happens during your workout. It is about what happens in the 23 hours after you stop. Round 3. Performance and muscle building. Your evening body can push harder. The warmer muscles and faster nerve conduction translate directly into performance. Studies show 5 to 20% greater power output during evening resistance training compared to morning sessions. That means more weight on the bar, more reps per set, more total volume. And volume is the primary driver of muscle growth. More mechanical load on the muscle fiber triggers more muscle protein synthesis, the process that builds new tissue. Here's why that matters for fat loss. Every kilogram of muscle you carry burns about 13 calories per day just sitting there. Fat tissue burns about 4.5. That difference seems small until you zoom out. A 24-week study found that evening trainers gained more lean muscle mass than morning trainers following the exact same program. If that translates to 2 or 3 extra kilograms of muscle over a year, you are burning 9,000 to 14,000 additional calories at rest. Not during exercise, at rest. While you sleep, while you sit at your desk, while you watch this. The evening workout does not burn more fat during the session. It builds the furnace that burns more fat every hour of every day after the session. Round 3 goes to the evening, and it sets up the most surprising round of all, round 4, the afterburn. When you do high-intensity exercise in the evening, something specific happens when you fall asleep a few hours later. Your pituitary gland releases growth hormone in pulses during deep sleep, with the biggest pulse hitting in the first 90 minutes after you drift off. Growth hormone is your body's primary overnight fat mobilization signal. It activates that same enzyme, hormone-sensitive lipase, the one cortisol triggers in the morning, except now it is working while you are unconscious. Evening high-intensity training amplifies these pulses. The amplitude goes up, the frequency goes up. Nocturnal growth hormone secretion can increase by 30 to 70% compared to nights when you did not train. On top of that, the afterburn effect from intense exercise, the elevated oxygen consumption your body maintains to recover, can keep your metabolic rate raised for 12 to 14 hours after the session. Time that right, and that entire window covers your sleep. Your body is burning extra fuel, mobilizing fat, and repairing muscle all night long. But there is a critical catch. If you train too close to bedtime, within about an hour of lights out, you disrupt sleep onset. Your core temperature stays too high. Your nervous system stays too activated. And the deep sleep stages where growth hormone does its work get compressed or skipped entirely. The same exercise that would have amplified your fat burning overnight now blunts it. The optimal window is about 3 to 4 hours before bed. That is the sweet spot where the metabolic elevation carries into sleep without wrecking the sleep itself. Round 4 goes to the evening with an asterisk the size of your alarm clock. So here is the scorecard. Morning wins on fuel source. It pulls fat out of storage and burns it directly, as long as you train fasted and keep the intensity moderate. Evening wins on performance, muscle building, and the overnight afterburn. It builds the tissue that raises your metabolism around the clock and amplifies the growth hormone that burns fat while you sleep. 2 different strategies, 2 different timescales, both real, but a meta-analysis across 12 studies found something that outweighed all of it. Consistency. People who trained at the same time every day, whether morning or evening, lost more fat over months than people who bounced between random schedules. And here is why. Your body adapts its hormonal clock to match your routine. After about 3 to 4 weeks of consistent training at the same hour, your cortisol response, your catecholamine output, your core temperature curve, all begin to shift and optimize for that specific window. Your body closes the gap on its own. If you can only train once a day, the best time is the time you will actually protect. Every session, every week, for months. If you can split your training, the physiology points to a clear protocol. 20 to 40 minutes of fasted walking or light cardio in the morning. Resistance training in the evening, 3 to 4 hours before bed. That combination captures the morning fat oxidation advantage and the evening muscle building and growth hormone advantage in a single day. Those 2 people from the beginning, same gym, same workout, different clocks. You now know exactly what is happening inside each of them. The morning body is unlocking fat cells. The evening body is building the furnace that burns them. Neither one is wrong, but the one who shows up at the same time tomorrow, and the day after that, and the week after that, is the one whose body eventually rewires itself to make every session count. The clock on the wall matters, but the calendar matters more.